Hello and welcome to TFT Worlds final day game number 2.
Oh, definitely. I think the dark horse that has impressed everybody so far is TXE, a player who, right, this tournament is their big breakout, right? They haven't had many impressive finishes. Their ladder hasn't been too insane, but super impressive, right? Over the first couple of days of performance, they are, the point leader. I think second and into third in the day number 2. Super impressive stuff overall. I think Roozul also fits into that category as well. Maybe, a little bit overshadowed by Dudu's performance overall, and with the kind of creative, flexible style of play that, as we saw last game, it really kind of bit Roozul in the butt a little bit, but there's still time to recover, right? It's just game number 1, get those final day jitters out, and then have some strong showings here moving forward.
All right, we'll take a look at what we have in store as we open up with the tier bow opening. Pretty flexible for Lilu, who is going to have to show off if he can keep up that momentum after that awesome Blade Master game. We're going to start things off a little bit spicy with an opportunity to go for Pandora's items to get what many consider to be the best in slot for some of the most powerful comps. This is usually an opportunity for people to try and play the scratch strikers. But I do wonder if Lilu has anything else he wants planned, because he showed that he's a very versatile player. Is there any other comp that when you take Pandora's Crown that you think about when you have an opportunity?
I mean, the main one is going to be Sivir, and I think knowing that Lilu's play is going to be really comfortable going into anything. So being able to, pick this Pandora's right now and saving the bow really tells me that they want to go an AD direction. Now, it doesn't have to be the Sivir, right? We've seen other compositions work out, even like the Innovators, like Draven as well, a little bit. Dare I say even some reroll when it comes to things like a Tryndamere carry. Lilu played a bunch of reroll actually yesterday. A couple of those were the reroll Arcanist with Lucian, but they did play one game of Tryndamere reroll, which did end up in second place. Pandora's is probably not the augment that screams that playstyle, but again, we know Lilu is going to be comfortable with literally anything the game throws their way.
All right, well, let's take a look at also another player who is the hero of his region, another scrap striker player. It's TXE from Oceania, who managed to get a second place and started off his World Championship campaign, day number 3, off on the right foot. Does have an opportunity to slam one of these items with 2 vests and a sword. I think a lot of people would be angling for some kind of combination of Bramble and the Edge of Night. But that being said, TXE, he's kind of the master of the scrap striker builds for this tournament. That's what he's focused upon. So if he ends up slamming those items, that means he can't make things like Frozen Heart as easily. He won't be able to slam things like the Zeke's Herald. So he chooses to hold and says, you know what, I'm going to greed for the perfect items.
Yeah, the thing about TXE is TXE has gone usually into the Sivir from favorable spots, and while the augment is favorable with back foot, the item's less so, right? You have to play it from behind there, go in a bit of a loss streak, try to make econ where you can, and roll it down a bit later. Hope you're not contested too much. But ooh, okay, here, this is an interesting augment choice for Lilu. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, this is an augment called Stored Power.
Yeah.
As the Hex Core pulsates, you get extra ability power that's permanent on your Hextech champions. Now, people have experimented a ton with this. They say, do I re-roll Hextechs? Do I go vertical Hextechs and just try to scale off my ability power? What am I going to try to prioritize? Am I trying to go for Jewel Gauntlet? And the answer is, it's really open-ended. Some people try to play from reroll Swain. Personally, I think the strongest way to go about it is just to play a Lucian carry. And I think that's exactly what Luli has by already slamming this Gunblade. And so you can play a Hextech Twin Shot and then flex around that core. You don't have to go deep vertical Hextechs. Just think of it as the longer the game goes, the more your Lucian will scale, and you don't have to go into 6 or 8 Hextech like a lot of people feel baited into doing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was exactly like you said with the Gunblade Slam. That is what Lili is going to be going for. And there is a Nico's help on the bench, so this might be a situation where players are choosing to, Nico a 3 cost, which usually, right, you're going to be saving it for those 4 costs or even the legendary units. But the composition, right, if you're going Hextech, you're not playing around the Sivir, it's probably that Lucian. So as soon, I think, as Lili finds a couple of Lucians, might just do that. For now, is choosing to sell that Camille though, and the Gunblade goes on the bench. It does go on to Kasten for now. This is not your standard TFT play, but it's going to be good enough, I would assume, this round to carry a 3 streak at least into the carousel, make 10 gold. The Yordle option is on the bench as well, so if Lee does ever take a loss, they can just pivot into Yordles, get economy, and then get into the Lucian spot. So they're kind of playing for every single out thus far, and it's working out beautifully.
That was so important, Crow. And not only does this win, lets him sell the Zac to get to 10 gold. He gets to keep Yordles, so he hits that Corki, gets that twin shot. And, you know, the Kassadin is just the entire linchpin of his composition. Kassadin's a better tank than Camille, pound for pound. So Luli says, you know what? I can go for the strict upgrade. That's why I'm going to sell my 2-star and replace it with another and keep my Hextechs in to scale that ability power. Let's hop on board. Dudu has a couple interesting choices. I see a 3-cost spatula. TXE has been flirting with it. Ends up going for it. We know TXE has that floating sword, so we can make that striker emblem. And I wonder if that's going to help or hurt him, because the problem with spatulas, Crowan, is that means you're not making those high impact items like Last Whisper and Zeke's to get tempo, and you're relying upon the power of the traits, which sometimes can be awkward. What if you only have 2 strikers? That means that striker emblem's kind of dead.
Exactly. It really only helps when you push up to getting that 6 striker mark, and you're probably gonna have to push level 8 or level 9 at that point to have everything on the board with, you know, your Braum and your 6 striker and your 4 scraps. There's a lot of steps to get there, and TXE is playing from behind. 76 HP just after the stage 2 carousel is rather low, but moving over to Dudu's board, it is gonna be mutants and it is metamorphosis. This Cho'Gath with redemption will be very, very tanky as the fights go on. It is not going to be, you know, similar or akin to that Cho'Gath carry that we saw in the last game, but the power is going to be in other mutants. If Dudu sticks with the mutant tree and is able to go into either Kha'Zix or Kai'Sa, or even itemize both of them later on, this could be a strong board, but it is expected to take losses right now. Dudu's prepared to sell the 30, does just that. 30 gold right now is fantastic economy. It's just, when is Dudu going to pull the trigger, level up, and roll it down?
Dudu from Korea, a player who's known to always be close but never really get there. Top 4 in almost every tournament that he's played, and sometimes that's not great, because if they send only 3 representatives from Korea, Dudu was the 4th player there, so able to finally make back-to-back Worlds appearances. Look at him in day 3, but that mutant start is a little bit more questionable than when we saw Li Luo do, given that Metamorphosis is a lot weaker. However, that said, he's trying to go for that 5-loss streak, and Cho'Gath is good at killing units. Also, you know what's really good at killing units? An almost all 2-star Innovator board. That's a 2-star Echo coming out from Liquid Goose here at 2-6.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, and it's even crazier. This is a 2-loss streak. Probably just grabbed this Echo. I didn't quite see when it came through, but Luli has moved these items over as well. It was a Camille, then a Kasten, now it's on a Nocturne, but it's not going to be quite good enough to go up against Goose's board, right? This is pretty crazy. An Echo 2 in stage 2. The only thing that's worrying about, you know, spending all these gold for board power is, you know, only being on 10 gold, not carrying a streak forward into Krugs. Move on over to Goobum's board, however. It's some early Debonairs and a Titan Slam, actually, onto that Leona. But Leona's so tanky with that VIP bonus. She's going to be healing up, allowing her time to stack that Titans and have the Brand and the Ziggs be pumping out damage. And this is why Goobums is 4-streaking into Krugs here, Frodan.
I love it. I love it. This is tech that Goobums has talked about. He says that he thinks that a lot of players are not valuing the Debonair tree in general. It doesn't mean that he has to stick on it, but these are powerful champions, and if you can leverage each of the VIP bonus, you're in a be in a good spot. So for Leona specifically, her VIP bonus is for every second she regenerates almost an entire percentage of her max HP, which means that if you stack resistances on her, she's going to be that much more tanky. And so the question goes for Goobums is, he does drop a Last Whisper opportunity. How is he going to try to go from here? Because the Debonair trait gives you a lot of ability power, and so maybe he was thinking more about how he can leverage that. But he doesn't have attack damage champions. So if he has Last Whisper, you know, like, who's going to be taking that? How does he leverage it? And I think there's some of the questions that's going through Goobum's mind right now.
Definitely. Maybe even questioning whether we want to level up right now. Is that really going to upgrade the board strength? Generally, to preserve a streak on 3-1, you do want to level up. Goobum's saying no. It's, oh, yes, he is actually. Last second, puts in a Poppy for the bodyguard. That's going to help the Leona out. Goobum, of course, is waiting till last second to deny other players, scouting potential. Go up against Huli, who once again has swapped the Gunblade over, and now it is on Sivir. How many times are you going to move these items around, Luli? And it's not going to work out yet again. Lucian waiting room, I suppose. Doing a little bit of musical chairs with those items.
Yeah, and I'm really scared too because another thing that caught my eye is Lily has no gold relative to where he wants to be. He's in the middle of the pack, low HP, and he's at 30, which means if he spends 12, the traditional, or 16 to level, in the worst case, he could be in a really bad spot in terms of chances to find Lucian. And it's just funny because Hextech Gunblade Sivir is just really not a thing. Two Leonas in the shot for Goobum. That is massive for Big Goo.
For the Big Goo. 94 HP win streaking with that Leona upgrade will be so likely to carry that streak forward throughout the rest of stage 3. So we'll check that out later. Goobum's in a fantastic spot, but looking at Roozul right now, has some great AD items, has the augment as well for it with the weak spot, Last Whisper, Edge of Night. Still level 5 and did not level up on 3-2, which pretty much everybody else in the lobby is going to be level 6. What do you make of this, Frodan? Is that extra economy worth it as opposed to board stream?
I think he just really wants to make sure that he can probably make use of this next item because he's too short. And I think from Roozul's perspective, he's really playing with the traditional cadences. He's looking at his pool. He knows Goobums is in his pool. He just played him. And he says, leveling probably doesn't even make me that much stronger, and I want to greed a little bit more. That being said, I'm not sure if I entirely agree with that concept because the tempo of the lobby is really starting to accelerate, and people are going to put on some big pressure. And Roozul has historically struggled a little bit more from the lose streak and the win streak position as we enter the 3-3 augment choice.
Oh, Failing Exiles, Blue Battery, all pretty generic augment choices here. It's going to be Exiles, and it's easier to kind of position around because, playing the Colossus means you're playing one less unit. It's not really going to make that big of a deal, though. Dudu, what is a big deal is that Dudu is on a 7-loss streak, has lost nearly every single round in the game, but does have a lot of gold. The question I posed earlier was, when is Dudu going to pull the trigger? It's certainly going to be after this next carousel. They have the Morellos. They want to get into Kaisa a bit later. There are literally only mutants on the board, and then the Zyra giving to Scholar buff, but she's not going to do enough work, and this Cho'Gath is really the only real unit on this board, it seems like.
Yeah, it does seem like he lacks damage. That's the big fundamental problem with Dudu's situation. That said, he's on a 7-loss streak, so we know that he's going to sack one more. He's not expecting to win. He's again trying to reduce the amount of losses as possible and then go for a big roll down at 3-5. You can see him already. He's committing some of his goal. He's 14 at 36 on his level. This Echo with the conversion is going to hit a bunch of units that clumped up. The exile positioning actually is a blessing in disguise because it moves him out of the range of AoE. Cho'Gath can kill perhaps one more unit by a feast on this Lucian, but Lucian dashes away from the relentless pursuit.
Mechanics.
And that would mean that his Cho goes down without casting one more time. It does, so we'll take that 2 HP preservation for Dudu, but still in the big picture, you talked about it, Crowan. What can Dudu do to turn around with just 30 HP as we enter the stage 3 carousel?
Man, I thought Dudu was low, 8 losses, losing every single round, but TXE is even lower with 27 on his stage 3 carousel, Frodan. That is insane. And TXE, I believe this is the second spat. I'm not sure if the first one was used for an emblem yet, but TXE could have a big comeback with that. And yeah, I don't actually think the other spatula was used, so this could just be a Tactician's Crown, and TXE having maybe 8 units, leveling up to 7, rolling it down here. That could be really huge for him.
I think so. However, the lobby is starting to heat up. A lot of people are going to be leveling, so you can see TXE is going to 7 alongside Dudu. Dudu's not rolling immediately.
Oh,
is he
going to
greed
greed for level 8?
A fast 8?
Yeah, I think he is. I think this is Dudu's only out with the items that he has, right? Oh, okay, interesting. I like this decision, right? I was thinking of that sword and the vest from the Edge of Night. That's great for a Kaisa, right? Reset that aggro, but you need the power right now. And what's going to be more powerful to preserve maybe these instances of 2 or 4 HP every round is the Gunblade. Still a fantastic item for the Kaisa, but Kaisa is Dudu's one and only out here. Rolling it down right now, trying to hit, Malzahar 2 is not going to get you much more than a 7th here. But Dudu says, no, I want to play super risky, go to level 8, and if I hit, then can play for an actual real top 4 situation, and is doing well even though these rounds are losses, killed almost every single unit. It is only a 2-unit loss for it, and I think this is the right decision from Dudu, but is this risk going to pay off?
It's a calculated loss, not the augment.
Yeah.
But the position that Dudu was in, because he had TXE and Roozul in his pool, the strongest player was Goobums. So Dudu taking a measured risk, saying 2 out of 3 times I'm going to be playing weak opponents. I think I can do this. Now, that being said, he needs to try to fade it one more time. Now, Liloa enters the mix. Goobums, Liloa, and TXE. The scary thing about TXE is how strong did he get at 7 if he matches up?
We'll see.
And the fight versus TXE, the big reveal, did he find Sivers? Did he find exactly what he needed? He made a Tactician's Crown, but has almost an entirely AP board, and that does not look very strong. I see so many 1-star units, and that means that Cho'Gath is going to just be tickled until he's able to get to his next feast, unless this big anti-heal can find a way to get through, which there is none. And so Cho'Gath is going to be able to continue to stay alive and kill as many units as possible.
The redemption.
We did run into a couple of problems, actually. We ran into some issues killing off some of that front line. I stand corrected. I thought that Dudu was able to kill off more champions, but he took a 5-unit loss here, Crowan.
That is not what Dudu wanted. 64 gold, 19 HP. Dudu might be able to greed one more loss at the beginning of stage 4, but that would mean any single bad loss from there on out, if it's a bad matchup, would just be lethal range. Dudu might just send it down on 4-1 and just, preach for that Kaisa. TXE, however, on the other hand, was on 0 gold. They went to 7, had the Tactician's Crown, and their board still wasn't that strong. It was stronger than Dudu's, but TXE is not in a great spot for top 4ing either.
Neither of them
80
are in a
gold.
good spot, and Dudu's now at 80 gold.
Is it one
Oh
more
my
round?
god, did we graduate from the school of Juan Mi? That's 80 gold, 10 loss, 27 HP? No, 19 HP, and we're not rolling or doing anything.
Might as well go one more, Frodan. One more loss. It's calculated, and again, not the augment, but we'll have to see that roll down. It will make or break Dudu's game. TXE, on the other hand, has stabilized, has sold back up to 27 gold, and has a Jinx. This is TXE's potential saving grace right now. It has a couple of great items, the Edge of Night scrapped into a Rage Blade as well. Should be able to win this round, especially with all the support of the rest of the team, but actually gets taken out by this Gnar. That rock throw is doing so much damage and will continue to be such a close fight. Can Ziggs and Seraphine do it? Yes, they do. TXE continues the streak, and that's very important.
I don't know how he does it when his back's against the wall. TXE just finds things like the Jinx on 7, and that's so big for stabilization. Dudu gets the win of all time.
Oh, wow.
Now he can try to continue
40
to roll.
gold.
40 gold to roll. But what is he going to do to outfit the rest of his composition? He's going to stay here on mutants, or is he going to try to pivot?
Oh,
Holy
too.
moly, that's an Alistar too. He's a very tanky front line. Can he find damage deals like Kha'Zix?
Silco?
Can he find ways to work into Silco?
Can't, no. Exiles, right? You can't fit in the Silco. You need the unit's positioning. It's not really going to be cut out for that. Does not find a Kaisa, but the Alistar and the Malzahar upgrades are still big, though, but I'm not sure it's enough, especially with only being on 4 mutant and not 5.
Well, I mean, Alistar's a lot of CC, so if you give time
Yeah.
to Malzahar, theoretically he could build up enough Nightmaric Visions to try and burn down a lot of the backline. But that's pretty optimistic. He doesn't have mana generation. Part of me wants to slam things like this Rage Blade, so we have a source of mana generation through auto attacks, as Leona is tanking so much. That big shield, able to survive a little bit longer. That said, Goobums is kind of on the greedy side, right? He has level 8, he has 20 gold. He actually chose not to roll down, so for him, this is going to be trying to minimize his losses, but he takes a 6-unit L.
Yeah.
Goobums end up taking a lot of damage there just now.
Yeah, Guam's at 69 HP, but still didn't roll all the way down. Dudu's continuing to roll here, and while I mentioned this board is not exactly where Dudu wanted it to be, it is still probably strong enough to, you know, at least stabilize for now. Rolling past these upgrades like a Swain too, because every single piece of gold needs to go to finding Dudu's endgame board, or at least what he wants the endgame board to be. Yeah, there's, I mean, you gotta take the Rek'Sai upgrade, but still, nothing else coming through. 3 Cho'Gaths away. That could be a huge spike point, especially Metamorphosis, Cho'Gath 3 Redemption, and Bramble. That could be a super frontline threat later on.
Yeah, the Colossus is a really big deal. The damage reduction is a major factor. It's one way to bypass all of this giant amount of, you know, armor penetration, for example. You just had to have the damage reduction, reduce all of that big burst that they could possibly get through their last whispers and the attack speed. And so this Cho'Gath really starting to come online, and you know, we're starting to see Dudu's vision come together. One of the biggest strengths that Dudu brings to the table is his macro vision from the beginning to the end of the game. There's another Cho on the carousel, but is there something else that catches his eye?
No Kai'Sas, that certainly doesn't catch the eye. Maybe a component, maybe the Cho'Gath. Looks like it is going to be the Cho'Gath Frodan, so only 2 more needed for a Cho'Gath 3. As you said, paired with the Colossus, this Cho 3 would be so hard to actually take out. And Dudu has weathered the storm, is no longer in 8th place. TXC is actually now, with that last round loss, dropped back below, and most of the lobby is starting to even out in HP. Not Luli, though, on the other hand, at 106 HP, of course, with the Tiny Titans, but players like Goobums, Goo starting to take losses as everyone's getting towards this middle ground. Maybe some spiking happening at 4-5. A lot of players are going to be either rolling or leveling to 8 right now, but oh man, Altenohue, however, cannot do that. Is still only on 40 gold level 7, and no real upgrades, especially for the units that have the items.
Yeah, you saw a 1 peak roll. Roll 1 time to see if you can hit any of the pairs, but needs to find a way to go to level 8. Meanwhile, as you check on Roozul, does find a way to Zephyr, to scrap Zephyr onto the frontliner unit, giving Lucian less breathing room. But this is the store power Lucian that we talked about. He's racking more and more HP. Boom! Goes to Dynamite. The Colossal Engine's able to take out the primary carry, but the remainder of the army is able to finish off the job, and Roozul's unusual combinations of playing 3 Socialite Gnar really kicking in here. Look out above. Korea is coming for that top 4. Dudu's also on a streak as we look at the 4-6 augment.
Ooh, Archangel's Makeshifter Knife's Edge. Knife's Edge works out really well, especially with this Socialite Hex and Gnar being in there with all these items. If he was doing a lot of damage before, yeah, it's going to be even more right now. But there is a Sivir on the bench, now a pair of Irelias, and more AD items. Is Roozul going to decide to pivot at some point? There's a Jinx in there, there's the Jarvan, and yes, it looks like the pivot is happening right now. What do you know? This board turns into a Striker Scrap Sivir board, Frodan.
Yes, the Knife's Edge will be really good with the Infinity Edge in particular to help you amplify your crits. I do wonder about how he wants to utilize the rest of his items. With Quicksilver available, might even consider a Rapid Fire Cannon depending on how things go. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind trying to support the front line through this Zerat portal either. 3 item Irelia. This is a very fascinating choice to commit to Irelia instead and giving her the Quicksilver, and Roozul's going up against Dudu. It's a Korea team fight.
Yes, it is, but I don't think Roozul's transition there was strong enough. Sure, they Irelia has 3 items, but still only Irelia 1 gets CC'd. Or actually, no, it doesn't, because of that Quicksilver. It's dashing around, but now it finds itself up against that immovable force that is the Cho'Gath. It's going to be stomping around, eating everything in its tracks, paired with that Malzahar damage, because Malzahar wasn't really touched besides for some Sivir bounces, which it was able to heal back up. Roozul also sold the one of the Sivirs to get the item off, which means that the pair of Sivirs was not an option. Didn't want to make 2 Last Whispers, right, because the other one would have been a kind of a dead item. Could have done a play, however, where they, found Sivir 2, popped that extra one off, but no, wanted the power right now. It just wasn't really good enough. But moving on over to Luli's board. It is the stored power, one of the least frequently taken augments in teamfight tactics, but Luli's making it work, Frodan.
Yeah, and I think
re-rolling.
the augment that he selected was Spellblade, I believe, or is
Yeah.
it Runic Shield? I think these are a little bit tricky sometimes to decipher. Either way, the Runic Shield aspect of this gives him more tankiness, and that's what he's really looking for. But most importantly, is trying to hit these 3-star units, rerolling Swain as well. We kind of mentioned that Swain reroll is an option, and now he's choosing to do both. He says, yeah, Swain reroll sounds good, as well as Lucian 3 reroll sounds pretty good. Going up against Cho 3 from Dudu, trying to see if he can secure his position. He has the Cosmic, so 5 units up. That's going to be one tanky Cho'Gath. Can anything take down this monstrosity?
The thing is, the Lucian's going to be double-shotting, but no, it's not even able to take down many of the other units as well, but nothing can take down this Cho'Gath. That is a Titan's Resolve now as well. Look at the size of this absolute beast, Frodan. What can anyone do to take this Cho'Gath down?
I mean, right now, Giant Slayer is not a very common item build. It's an item that you would love to have on some of your carries in the late stage of the game, especially if you end up playing Jinx, for example. But I don't think the lobby is well equipped to take it down, especially if people who are playing AP-based compositions don't even have a lot of magic-resistant shred. As we take a look at Luli's board, who's hit 2 of his Hextechs at 3-star and still is very close to finding Vex 3. This board from Luli looks very strong. You can finally take a look at 8.
Oh yeah, Luli taking a page out of Lilu's book from yesterday, re-rolling this Lucian, said yeah, that looked pretty good, top 4 with it every single time, is even 1 away from the Vex upgrade as well. She has a Dragon's Claw, she's not going to be super tanky, but still combined with all these other upgrades like the Swain that just came through. Look at this Lucian damage, Frodan, it's so much. The Seraphine not going to be able to deal with it even with the anti-heal. Altenahoy drops dangerously low with 11 HP, but TXE even lower now on just 3, 1 life remaining. Has 30 gold, has a bunch of pairs. This roll down has to have some unit upgrades right now. Actually already has the Jinx, but Kaisa, Silco, that front line needs to be upgraded as well. Oh, 2 Brahms, 1 shop.
Huge. That's huge. Able to upgrade his front line. His front line's the biggest part. If he can stall long enough, this Jinx will get it done. But front line is not what he's finding right now.
No.
He's gonna try to put in a different unit. He puts in another Leona, sells, tries to replace so he can move his Echo into the composition, but there's just no 2-stars. Finds a 2-star Leona. That's better than nothing. Doesn't get it in time. Is that gonna make a difference here? We're going up against Lilo, who has the 6th striker, the Frozen Heart, onto the back line with the Echo as well. Nothing is contesting that Sivir in the corner. So this is gonna be very difficult to take down. The Super Mega Death Rocket from Jinx is now online, but now it's 1v6. And that's just not enough. TXE takes an 8th. Oh no!
Oh, OCE fans in shambles right now. That was not the game that you wanted to follow the game number 1 up with for TXE. Was such an impressive top 2, but now is kind of reset that progress. No, what's not being reset is this Cho'Gath here. He's been alive for probably every single round. Now Altenahoy drops to 2 HP. Goobums drops to 5. Goobums might be looking at back-to-back bottom 4s if he's not careful here, Frodan.
Yeah, and Altenahoy ends up going for that Giant Slayer Jace as well. Both these players looking at the legendaries with big damage items to try and take them down. Don't look now, Dudu is still streaking at 19, and Lilo also streaking at 38. I mean, we might have an all-Asia top 4 with 2 Koreans and 2 Chinese players, and they might kick out everybody else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, so China and Korea have played the most creative, the most flexible boards, and it seems like that is really what's, people are being rewarded with right now. It is not just, you click on Sivir, you click on things that are good when you get voracious games. It is how you preserve HP, and it is how you make these mid-game boards translate to late game. Goobums is rocking one of the, I guess I say creative as well, boards that we've seen. 4 Scholar, 3 Mutant, has IE on the Galio, that's a Clapio. Only Kaisa 1 though, and Kha'Zix 2 being an Aura carrier. I don't know about this one.
Well, he does have Galio 2 and Silco 2. The Galio got ulted first, though, so the question is, will he be able to do enough impact before he goes down? The second Monsoon is going to clean up a lot. I think Gubams has survived, and that's huge. Alternative goes out in 7. Dudu takes a loss. Oh, no. All of a sudden, Crowan, top 4 has been cracked open just a peek through that window. As we do look at Gubams, does he have a chance to make this happen? Depends on who his matchmaking pool is. He has Dudu, which I think should theoretically be a good matchup because Kaisa does end up being one of the units that counters Cho'Gath. But what about Lila and Leo Lee? And Leo Lee also has that 3-star Vex. Yeah, the Giant Slayer can be very impactful against a lot of these 3-stars. Let's take a look at Korea's Dudu and see if he can survive and fight for a top 4. Who is on the other side? It's going to be Goose from Team Liquid with that Strict Striker board, getting that Shroud immediately off the scrap component conversion so that the Hextech Alistar will be a little bit delayed. Can this show survive the onslaught of the Strikers? We're seeing the growth, the 25 stack Titans able to keep it up, but the Super Mega Death Rock is going to burn a percentage HP, and the Sivir has racked up all the attack speed, and I think Dudu is not going to be able to survive. That's a 6th place.
Oh, Gubams drops as well, but in 5th, 1 HP difference. Oh, Dudu, you would love to see that board, right? That Cho'Gath 3 get into the top 4, but again, Dudu didn't land on the things that he wanted to, like the Kaisa. The Cho'Gath can only do so much work as well. The Malzahar wasn't able to cut it as we're reaching, you know, the end of stage 5 and going into stage 6 now. But we have our top 4, Frodan, and it is not all Asia. Goose has found his way in, which is, you know, really, really huge after going 7th at game number 1. Still a long road ahead, though, because looking at these HPs, right, Luli has 77 on a win streak, and Lilu also on a win streak as well. It's still 38. They're both super healthy.
The 2 Chinese players showing you why we were predicting China's duo to be the heavy favorites coming into it. Now, that being said, I want to say one other thing. Li Luo was the only player, he won last lobby, he's the only player from the top 4 that's still here, so this point lead is going to extend. Every other player that was top 4 in game 1 is currently in bot 4, so an opportunity to play for extra credit as we go up against Roozul with an excellent Shroud, an unconventional 2nd row Sivir. Is this going to work out, Crowan?
Oh, the 2nd row Sivir is really, really risky, but she's being untouched so far. She's ramping up the attack speed with the Rage Blade. The Galio Slam only stalls the inevitable. Goose, that was huge. It knocks out Roozul in 4th.
That's right. You know, for a second I saw the Knife's Edge, but that was on Roozul's side. I was like, did we get Knife's Edge value? I didn't see that. So Goose able to do some pretty tricky positioning. A little bit hard to understand in the moment, but it worked out. Now we have 2 Striker players and the 3-star Arcanist Twin Shot, but now we see Li Luo did lose, did go to 9, and is playing that Galio, but is still have a couple of 2-stars away from fully capping this board. He now has Striker Galio and Striker Jace into the mix. It is Striker emblems galore.
You get a Striker Emblem, you get a Striker Emblem, 3 Striker Emblems on that board. Look at the matchup between Luli and Goose right now. That Sivir's not going to be in the front 2 rows, but it has to deal with this massive Lucian Arcanist board. Ninja's just not cut it. Talking about S+ tier meta comps, you would think that Sivir can stand toe-to-toe, but there's still some missing pieces here, Frodan. The front line only features a Braum 1, and not only that, but it doesn't have the Blitzcrank in there to not only give the scrap, but that bodyguard buff, giving that front line a bit of a longer time available and alive. But no, Goose still has some work to do there. And Li Lu also does. I mean, this is still a 1-star front line as well.
I mean, at this point, I think Goose and Li Lu understand they're playing for 2nd. I don't think anybody can take down Lily's board. And there it is. The fight for 2nd place. Which Striker board reigns supreme? As we do have a Shroud down the middle from the Jinx once more, delaying the Galio's colossal entrance. Let's see if we can get the Jinx's Mega Death Rockets online. And here we go. We have takeoff. The Jinx has now entered the fray. The Sivir's trying to deal with it straight into the face. And Li Lu gets the job done. It's an all-China top 2. Goose cannot make it happen. And now can Li Lu find an opportunity to go back-to-back 1st place? Is there anything on this carousel that gives them a ray of hope heading into the showdown?
Galio. The Galio, right? That's going to be Galio 2. I believe there was one on the bench. It has a Rage Blade now paired along with that Striker emblem. I'm not saying, you know, it's Clapio levels of good with IE and perfect items, but this Galio is certainly going to do some damage. If it lands on Lucian after a couple of dashes, you might be able to see the fight go towards Lilu's way. However, this is going to be, you know, David versus Goliath right now. Luli has saved up so much HP. It would need to be so many rounds winning, but that journey potentially can start right here.
Could be the final fight here. Luli has yet to get anybody to snap his streak. And his units are getting stronger with each fight as well. With that stored power, that Frozen Heart Echo not going to stop the Lucian be able to cast. The big Colossal Entrance, though. That 3-item Galio is a force to be reckoned with, but look at the burst.
Oh, wow.
There's so much damage coming out from it. Luli from China pulling out all the stops. Takes game 2 with the Arc in his twin shot and puts...
And this was the end of game 2. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next game.